Oh, okay, guys, I'm getting motion sickness. Okay, hello, guys. I wanted to come in here today because I was having a conversation with someone and it really inspired me. Because, like, sometimes I feel like you say things and, like, you don't even realize that you're saying it because like, you'd give the advice to someone that you know, but you wouldn't really take it yourself. Like, you wouldn't really be the person to always take your own advice. So, anyways, I have been really trying to stay consistent just with my routine. I find like when I wake up in the morning and have like a morning routine, I just feel so much better. So I had met a person in my building and we're both just trying to keep each other accountable and like stay on our routine. We're going to the gym in the morning. So we both really got up early this morning. We're like, okay, we're gonna do it. Got up at like 5 a.m. Went to the gym. We had a great time, but like as we were chatting, she was telling me like she's also really trying to get into, I guess, like creating videos, creating content, putting herself out there. And I feel like sometimes like we are our own biggest barrier. So she was kind of like, oh, okay, well, I have like today off, let me figure out what I'm going to do. And I kind of was like, well, you've been meaning to do this for a while, why don't you just like make a little goal for yourself to like make a video? Like, it can be anything. Now she sings, so she wanted to like put a video of her singing, but she was like, yeah, like I don't know, I kind of just like feel like watching TV today. And like it's just so easy to fall into those patterns, into like that pattern. I was kind of like, okay, well, make a video of you watching TV. And she was like, what? And I was like, you just need to break that barrier. Like, you literally just have to be the first person to be like, you know what, I'm just going to make it a habit, and then I can think about the actual content and the actual quality of like what it is that I'm doing. And I find like sometimes we're just so consumed with the idea that when we want to do something, it has to be perfect. Like when we want to do something, it has to be to the level that like we can envision it in our ideal world. And I think sometimes we keep procrastinating something because we're like not in the mood to be like our ideal selves. Like we're not really in the mood today to like empower ourselves into doing something that we wish we could do better. So it's kind of like, even with going to the gym, like we didn't really do a crazy workout today, but like even the fact that we were able to like get up in the morning and go there and like do our like light workout this early, like to me that was like an accomplishment. I was like, as long as we can make this a habit, like if we manage to wake up early and go here every single day, then like in like a week or 2 weeks, we're probably going to get used to just like the habit of doing it. Then we can actually focus on like the content of our workouts, and then we can focus on like, is this fueling me? Is this right for my goals? Like naturally, as you do something, like your habits will gradually become more what's the word, it will gradually become more like quality. Like you start to do something and do something and do something, you get better at it, and over time as you get better at it, you can take on more and you can like show your authentic self through that. Whereas like in the beginning, it's just a matter of breaking the barrier and actually starting. So like it applies to anything, I find, because a lot of times we have like an inspired action to do something, but because like in our heads it looks like something ideal, like it looks like something that we want, like we would envision in like in an ideal world of how we would show up. So if you're like, I want to make content, you already have an idea of like how you would love to show up, and sometimes like the skill to getting there can be the barrier. So you're like, well, I need to figure out like, one of the, I guess like excuses or one of the reasonings that came up was like, oh well, I don't really have the right camera, like I don't have this, that, and like I have the same thing. Like I've also been using my phone, but like I instantly saw it in her because it's something that I used to do. I was just kind of like, yeah, like I don't have a camera, like I'm not going to start until I get like a proper like high quality camera. And then eventually I was like, no, just start, because like as you do this and as you get comfortable doing this, you're growing more comfortable talking on camera in general, and then you can like worry about the quality of like what you're putting out there. Just like start, just like break that initial barrier. So I was kind of like, okay, like you can just like make a video of you watching TV, and you can be so real with your audience to be like, guys, like I wanted to get this started, I really did want to like start today, but I'm kind of not really feeling it, but like this is a little step for me to even just like break the barrier of like putting myself out there. So I'm just going to film myself doing what I'm doing anyway, and like maybe tomorrow I'll get the courage to sing for you. Anyways, I find once you break that barrier, it just becomes something that is not as scary anymore. It just becomes something that's like, okay, well, I've done it now, I may as well continue. And as you continue in something, you just like naturally just get better and better, or like more sculpted towards like the version of yourself that you want to be. So it's like, even when I started like trying to play with videos and stuff, like in the beginning I'd be like, okay, I want to, like, I would have the vision in my head of how I wanted things to look. And sometimes when I would do it in real life, because like I had never done it before, it just wouldn't look like the way I would see it in my head. It's like, of course, when I'm envisioning things in my head, I'm envisioning like cinema quality stuff, but like at the end of the day, I'm learning as I go, and like I'm not going to let the fact that like I'm not able to create cinema quality stuff impact like me just showing up as I am right now. Like I think it's just so important to meet yourself where you are. I think it's so important to just be like, you know what, like I'm not at 100 today, I don't feel like I can give myself the extra push, but I'm going to meet myself where I am, and I'm going to like express myself at my 50. And that's something I experience sometimes too, because I'm like, you know what, today like my head kind of hurts, or like I just kind of feel a bit extra tired, like I'll do this when I have more energy. But the thing is like the goal for me was just to make it a habit. So I'm like, okay, even if I'm not like at 100 energy today, I'll come in at 70%, at 60%, at 50%, and just like express myself where I am right now. Because it's only when you can meet yourself right here, you're able to like carry yourself into where you want to be. And this is something I've really been trying to like being present. Like being present is something like I've really had to work on. And it's like something I'm continuously trying to work on, because I realized, it's getting a bit personal, but I realized for like a long period of time that like I'm not very in my body. Like as a person, I'm just very detached. And I noticed it started to impact like the way I would physically show up in spaces, because it was like I wasn't present enough with myself to be able to meet myself where I am and carry myself through. So I was always just kind of detached. And when you're a bit detached and you're like kind of observing yourself from this like external lens, you're never going to get to a point where you're able to like take those actionable steps in the moment. And I feel like actionable steps are so important, because sometimes like I think it's absolutely so important to visualize. Like I'm the first person to be like, visualize your reality, know what you're working towards, because when you have that vision in your head, it becomes clear. The steps to getting there become clear. But at some point you can sit and think about it and sit and think about it and sit and think about it, but eventually, unless you're going to take those like little actionable steps, even though you don't fully know where they're taking you, it's like those little moments that you're being present enough to just do those actions. That's one of the most fulfilling things I think that like you could ever be doing. Because it's like sometimes like even though we're not fully consciously aware, I do believe that everything that we discover is also something like we're kind of remembering. And it's like, this is like something I believe about the world. I think that we carry this like pool of knowledge, like we carry collective knowledge inside of us. And I think that like all this information in the world, that's why when you hear one thing versus another, if you hear a truth versus a lie, even though you may have not heard the truth before or the lie before and you don't know which is like fact, I think we have a natural inclination to pick up on like truth or lie. And I think it's because like internally we have like detectors for these things, because I think subconsciously, although we may not remember it, because it's like a pool of insight that is like hidden, what's the word for this? It's like I just think we all have access to a collective pool of knowledge. And I think that the more we tap into it, the more we remember things, and the more we recognize truth in the things that we're experiencing. So I find with, where was I going with this? LOL. So I find with like, man, I really forgot where I was going with this. Oh, okay, so this is where I was going with this. So I find sometimes like we have these like instincts to like do something. Like our body has these instincts to do something and to take a little actionable step in this moment, even though our mind cannot fully comprehend why. And I do feel it's because our body is tapping into this collective information, this knowledge about ourselves and about our true core path and our true core instincts. And it's like actively taking the steps to get there, even though you can't fully see it, because your body remembers. Even if your mind doesn't know, even if your mind can't figure it out, your body remembers. Your body knows like why you're taking this step. And sometimes you just have to break the barrier and take that step and like do the first step, and the first step will lead you to the second step, and the second step will lead you to the third step. But like you don't have to have step 7 figured out if you haven't figured out step 1. Like it's like a part of also putting yourself out there and being present with yourself is kind of trusting that step 2 will come when the time is ready. and like step 3 will happen after you take step 2, and step 4 will happen after you take step 3, and like that is a natural process. But I find what a lot of us do, and I think it's because we're so afraid, we feel like we need to figure everything out, and uncertainty is such a scary thing for us. We feel like we have to have 14 steps planned, 17 steps planned, 20 steps planned, A to Z before we can actually take those steps. But like sometimes, like, as remembering like what the next step is, discovering what the next step is, like that's also a part of the process. So I think it's so important, like when you have these instincts to start something, to do something, just like meet yourself where you are and like take the first actionable step to getting there. Like it does not have to be perfect, it does not have to be ideal, just like meet yourself where you are, like right now, and like trust that the version of you right now will carry the next version of you, and the next version of you, and the next version of you. And the moment something's a habit, you no longer have to think about it. Like you no longer have to like worry, like I have to like have this like crazy schedule where like I have everything planned out and everything figured out, because at the end of the day, all you have to focus on is like what you're doing today, and eventually consistency will like get you to like wherever you want to be. So yeah, this is like my way of being consistent today, guys. Like even today I was like, whoa, like this was something I truly realized as I was having that conversation with her, and like I reiterated to myself too, because like there's so many moments where it's like I'm like, oh well, it's not sunny out today, like I don't really have like as much energy to like put myself out there, like, or like to formulate my words right. I mean, like I was like, I didn't have my energy to like formulate sentences properly. But I was like, no, like I just need to meet myself where I am and like express myself from where I am today, and like maybe tomorrow like I'll have more energy and I'll be able to like come at like 100 or like 120% tomorrow, and maybe the next day I'll be at 30, but like I'll still show up, you know what I mean? It's like as long as you keep showing up, you'll be so proud of yourself for just showing up where you are now, versus feeling like you have to like edit and re-edit versions of you from before and like from for the future. So yeah, that's something that was my takeaway today, guys. Today was also like the first day I woke up in the morning and I actually had like a comment or 2 comments or something from people I didn't know, and that was crazy to me, because like I'm not gonna lie, like I said I was gonna do this and I was just gonna put stuff out there, like I was just gonna be like, okay, you know what, like I did my part and whatever happens, but like in my head, like I wasn't sure it was gonna go anywhere, you know what I mean? Like we're never fully sure. I just wanted to make it a habit. And I know I've only really put 3 videos up, but like I didn't expect it at all. Like I woke up in the morning and like I had a couple subscribers that I didn't like know in person. I think it's like when it's people in person, you always have that like imposter syndrome of like, is it what I'm doing, or is it just like the people that I love trying to support me? But the fact that it was like I had a couple from people that I didn't know, like it was just so encouraging, because I was like, oh okay, like maybe I am reaching some people. So it means a lot, and I'm really happy to keep doing this. So yeah, if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe if we've connected and like you want to hear more of me or see more of me, and comment if you have anything to say. And I just feel really grateful to just like be able to show up as authentically myself. Like that's something I've been actively working on, and like the fact that I can consistently do this, like I just feel very like happy where I am now, and like hopefully where things are going. So yeah, see you guys. I will be back.